Yo, what is up, guys? It is Archimedes Aizen here, back at it again with part 3 of Ichigo's royal journey. Now, before I start this video, my links will be in the description below. And yeah, this part's gonna be like the climax, if I do say so myself, or the rising action. I think it's rising. I'm not really sure. I don't really know. It's a rising action or a climax. So pretty much without further ado, guys, roll that intro. Alright, now we resume this what if after Ichigo kind of settled in the 10th squad. Now pretty much he would be going through, like walking through the squad, looking around, and over this time the squad would have became one of the strongest squads in the whole Soul Society history, which was actually pretty impressive. Like almost every person has attained Shikai and has advanced levels of Kido when it comes to the Gote 13. Not like Hado number 90, but like they can do like 54 or 63 pretty easily. So yeah, now Ichigo would walk up to the mission list and he would see a hunting down a few Vasta Lordes in the Rukongai district. Now pretty much he would then write his signature showing like he's going on the mission, and turns out he's like the mission is just him, like nobody else is going with him, so it's gonna be pretty difficult. He's gonna fight a few Vasta Lordes by himself. So he would then get a certain cloak from Aizen. Out of all the people, Aizen gave him the stealth cloak. He thought it was maybe either Soifon or Mayuri, but out of all the people, it was Aizen. So he would have respectively accepted it, and he would have put it on, and he would have went on his mission. So he would be on the edges of Soul Society, like on a light post, and he'd be looking on into the distance. Since the Vasta Lorde was last seen in a few districts away, so he was gonna head over there and try to eliminate it, or at least bring it in, I guess, for questioning in the sense. There's nothing to question, so it was obviously he was gonna have to cleanse it. So he would then flash step, or shunpo, a few meters forward, and he would just start flash stepping. Now he would then pretty much find himself among a scene, and he would walk up to like this certain building. This building was completely destroyed, so he would start investigating, looking any clues that the hollow left behind. So he would have found that there was these little pieces of fur that bats leave behind from their wings, I guess you can say. It was literally like the same thing. Now this is foreshadowing, alright? If you guys know any certain espadas who have bat-like features when they use their resurrection, I just gave you a massive hit. It should not be hard, okay? If somebody actually guesses this in the comments, I'll give you a nice imaginary cookie with the power of the visionary. Alright? Pog. So, pretty much what would happen is he would start to investigate the scene, and he would pretty much see that this was caused by a bat-like hollow, since it had like fur that only a bat would shed. Yeah, like only a bat would shed this fur. Yeah. So pretty much he would continue, and he would have found he would see a light beam just flying through the sky. This would have been the Lanza del Pengo. I think I said that right. That was a long name. So he would have went on to the scene, and he would have found one of the captains. Now if you guys are if you guys are wondering which captain is this, it's obviously it's captain of squad 2. It's Soifon. So she's basically fighting Okura. Yeah, it's Okura. I mean, it's Okura kind of a little bit after he got his own evolution through the Hokyoku, and pretty much Okura was pretty much going on a reconnaissance mission in the Soul Society. like Aizen wanted him to do that. So he would have came onto the scene, or Ichigo would have came onto the scene and pretty much seen Okura about to throw a Lanza del Rapengo at Soifon, and she wasn't really prepared. I mean, it's a light beam. Some of the captains are not even light speed yet. I'm not even gonna get into that, but it was a light speed, like a light speed arrow in a sense, or yeah. So it's going towards Soifon, and Ichigo gets in front of her and then uses Bakudo number 81 Danku before then turning around, and Ukura would be in his usual emotionless tone and say, who are you? I can see that you have the similar captain's cloak of this lady here, so I assume you're from the same association, so I assume I still have to kill you. So he would then make another Lanza del Relapango. I think I said that right. Yeah, I definitely said that right. It's hard to say. I mean, I think it's just me though. So he would then, tell Ichigo not to come forward, since this causes a lot of destruction. This technique causes a lot of destruction. Before he would throw it towards Ichigo, and like Ichigo would then kind of move his head to the left, and it would barely miss his head. So he would then, like, the beam of light would pass him, and it would land a little bit further back, and it would take out like the whole district. Like, this thing causes like a lot of damage. So Ichigo would then put his sword in front of him before activating his Bankai, and then, like, quickly, no hesitation at all, he would then raise his sword into the air and then do like start charging up energy into his sword before using a Getsuga Tensho. Now a red beam of light would escape from Ichigo's sword, and Ichigo's like Tensho Zangetsu, and it would go right for Okura. Now this would pretty much scar him right through the middle of his chest, similar to how Grimjaw has the scar from Ichigo. Now Okura, obviously using his high speed regeneration, would heal up from the attack before getting back up, and Ichigo realizes he has high speed regeneration, so he's the higher tier of the Vastalorde, or whatever he is, and he would start to whisper something into himself. Well, it's an incantation. The oozing crest of corruption, the arrogant vessels of madness, deny the seizing urge to let things stun and flicker, disrupt the sleep, the crawling princess of iron, the internally self-destructing dole of mud, unite, repulse, fill the earth and know your powerlessness. Hado number 90, Kurohitsuki, or Hado no Kyuji, Kurohitsuki. And pretty much a purple cube would fill up around Okura, making like a square perimeter or a cube perimeter, before Ichigo would then turn around and it would pretty much close in, and it would, the technique would activate. I'm actually, to this day, I'm still confused with what the technique does. I either think it closes in and pretty much suffocates you, and there's like some type of, so there's like millions of swords that just come together and does a lot of damage there, or just a bunch of millions of arrows on the inside. I'm still confused to this day, but neither way, what it does, the cube would disappear and Ichigo would be facing his back towards Okura, kind of like the only cool guys don't look at explosions kind of thing, and Okura's body would then like spit of blood before he would like walk up to Soifon, obviously give her his hand. Yeah, I said that right. And pretty much he would tell Soifon to go for the finishing blow, and Soifon, not even saying anything, would activate her Shikai, not if it's not already activated, and go for the two stings of her Shikai. So yeah, she would try to like go to kill Okura before Okura would grab her wrist and pretty much say the same thing that Aizen said. If you say, oh, so like 2 stings to kill me, right? So that's awfully powerful, but there's one thing that made me survive, and that's if you have more Ryatsu or Reishi than an opponent that's using an ability on you, the ability will never reach them. So due to me having more Ryatsu than you, your attack didn't work. Before he would pretty much grab his sword and just like cut slice at her chest. This would pretty much cause like her chest to open up and nothing but blood. And Ichigo would turn around and try to flash step behind him, and Okuro would kind of have a good response, but Ichigo would just like cut him into pieces before picking up Soifan and throwing her on his shoulder, kind of like how I'm trying to give you an example. So Kenpachi, when he faced off against Iwachi, had like 3 Stern Ritters on his shoulder. It was kind of like that. So he would then flash step and use a teleportation keto to head over to the 4th squad barracks before he would hand Soifan over to Unohana, and Unohana would heal Soifan just like she did with any other Shinigami. Now, he would then report to Genryusai Yamamoto, or the head captain, and in this whole what if, this is the only time, not the only time, this is the first time he's even like presented in this what if in a sense. So just let that be known. So he would then head over to the 1st Division office, and he would bow down in front of Yamamoto, and he would tell Ichigo to report the mission status. So Ichigo would then say him and Captain Soifan had a difficult battle against a certain Vasta Lorde. He seems to be half Shinigami and half Hollow, almost as if he reached a point of evolution where it's almost as if he went above his limits, and he pretty much merged between a Hollow and Shinigami. And he starts to theorize out loud that someone else would have to make it was almost at the product of someone's invention, an invention that makes you forget the limits of reason and have powers of different Hollow Shinigami. It's almost as if he willed it to happen. It wasn't like, some people would think this invention would be separated between Hollow and Shinigami, but that's just like a very simple definition of it. So pretty much he would tell this to Yamamoto, and Yamamoto can obviously guess it's not just the Hollow, there's someone else behind this Hollow in a sense. So they know like their mission isn't technically over, but Ichigo's mission was just to defeat the Vasta Lorde. So yeah. Now pretty much the mission would end, and we'll do a time skip about maybe 6 months. In this 6 months, Ichigo would have been the main the person investigating this whole Hollow, Hollow Shinigami person. Whoever is making these Hollows or Shinigamis have powers of the opposite species. So he would have won back, and he would have read a file about Kisuke Urahara, who made an invention called the Hokyoku. This pretty much separated the boundaries between Hollow and Shinigami, and that's why whenever Soul Society quote-unquote caught him due to Sosuke Aizen, he was definitely exiled because he already made an invention, and they already seen the captains, like the exiled captains, the missing captains, they already had like Hollow mask on them, like captains and lieutenants. So it was, they can easily made a quick correlation, and that's why the Central 46 didn't take long to make their judgment. So he would have made an investigation on Sosuke Aizen himself, and nobody knew about this, only him, Byakuya, and Yamamoto. So he realized that just he realized Aizen himself wasn't he was just too nice. I know it kind of sounds weird in reality, but you can't just be that nice without like a narrative or a purpose behind it. So for the next 6 months, like I said earlier, he would be investigating Aizen, and this is when he would have came up and he would have saw like he would have like followed him. So he would have followed him like just every way, and he didn't find anything, but he knew Aizen he knows like someone's following him, so he's being a little extra careful in a sense. It's definitely not far-fetched for Aizen to do that. So pretty much Aizen knows Ichigo's investigating him. He knows that Ichigo's following him, so that's why Ichigo didn't really find anything incriminating. So yeah, Aizen realizes he might have to try the Hollow experiment, since Ichigo is way stronger than the other captains, so he has more potential. He has unlimited limitless potential. Yeah, that's the word. And he's the Quincy and he's already like Quincy and Hollow and Shinigami, so he just needs to awaken the the Hollow, and it would pretty much merge with the Shinigami, making a new type of being. So one night, about 6 months later, like I said earlier, they would have went on a Hollow hunting mission, him and Toshiro, and Division 9, which would have pertained to Kaname and the other squad members. And just letting you know, Rukia would have came along, since in this time, like, she's like pretty strong. Like, she does have Bankai or anything, since her Bankai is like really dangerous in a sense to herself and others, not in a bad way. It's just like she needs to train it and master it. But yeah, so if you guys are confused, what is the relationship and to Rukia to the Kuchiki clan and all, it's literally the same in canon. I think I explained this in part 2, but just to clear up any confusion. So yeah, they would have went on the mission, and Toshiro, Rukia, and Ichigo would have went with Squad 9. So that would have pertained to Kaname and Hisagi. That was pretty much it. So pretty much they would have found a white. Yeah, so Aizen would have created another white. So what would happen is Ichigo and White, or soon to be Zangetsu in a sense, they would be staring off at each other, and they would start to fight. Like White, I'm gonna start calling him Zangetsu, it's a little easier. He would start rushing towards Ichigo, kind of releasing a mighty roar, and he looked quite weird. He had 2 horns, almost. He had the Ryatsu of a Shinigami, but he had the powers of a Hollow. This was very recognizable to the other Hollow he fought about 6 months ago, who had bat-like features. So he would have raised his hand, and he would have done Bakudo number 61, Rikujo Kuro, just like any Shinigami would think, subdue, use Bakudo to try to eliminate the Hollow, just like in canon. He would do that. Like canon, what canon? This is not even canon. This whole story is not canon. Never mind. I'm gonna stop myself before I go on a tangent. So he would then use Bakudo number 61, and then he would get Bakudo number 62, the 100 railings, and he would throw it, and probably around 6 or 7 of them would stick to White's like Zangetsu's body, like the chest area, keeping him in place. Then Ichigo would then use Bakudo number 63, Sajo Sabaku, which is like wind binding chains, or like golden chains. They would wrap around him and keep him locked up even more. Then Ichigo would then use Bakudo number 79, Kyoshibari, and it's like 9 purple, looks like mini suns would start to go around his body, like almost like in a circular motion. So like 9 suns at the top would then go then they would start to go from left and put suns, and then right in the middle of his chest a purple ball would appear. This would obviously be like that mini sun from Kyoshibari, and this would like actually keep in place before pretty much he would aim his blade towards the Hollow before going through a few incantations, which I can't remember. I only remember Hollow number 90's incantation, but he would then say Hollow number 91, Senju Koten Taiho. So what would happen is like 8 flame balls of like pinkish, I guess in a sense, would be sent towards White, and this would cause a huge explosion. Maybe, yeah, not maybe, it will. Like, you can't just say maybe. So this would cause an explosion, and this would probably take off his like White's arm, and that's quite a feat for White. Like, how did he just survive 5 binding keto? Right, it's 61, 62, 63, 79. Yeah. So that's 4. So like, how do you survive 4 binding ketos and then get hit with a Hado in the 90s? So then pretty much what like Zangetsu would appear right behind Ichigo, and Ichigo would be kind of surprised before like Zangetsu would swipe, and like he would split Ichigo in half. And pretty much Rukia and Toshiro would be a little scared there for a second, since they thought Ichigo died. But then, for some reason, it would just pop. Now, if you guys don't know what this is the I can't actually remember the name. I literally just remembered. But it was the invention that Urahara used on Aizen to basically get behind him. It was like a clone, in a sense. Yep, it's a portable Gigai. That's what it's called. So he would have used a portable gi guy to then pretty much get the upper hand in the fight, appear behind Zangetsu, and pretty much like put him in the neck hold, the choke hold in a sense. So then he would then like try to put a Quincy arrow through his head. And if you guys are wondering, what the fuck? When did you learn any Quincy techniques? Are you good, Aizen? Like, what are you smoking? I want some of that. No, you don't. You actually don't know. I don't smoke anything, but you don't want what I could possibly... Never mind. So if you guys are wondering, what the hell are you guys talking about? I mean, what the hell am I talking about? Let me explain something. So when Ichigo was growing up, after Misaki died and all, that was definitely a fixed point in timeline. Wait, timeline. This isn't the flat. Never mind. So basically, Ichigo would have been growing up. Basically, Byakuya would have gave him the scroll of just Quincy techniques. He would have learned like blood vein, Quincy, like how to make Quincy arrows, how to make a sword out of his Quincy reishi, and he was told not to use it. He didn't realize he needed to at that point, and he was told not to. So he didn't want to defy Byakuya, since that guy's like his father. So like, why would he? So it would at that point of his age, of course, he wouldn't think that. So he would have unconsciously suppressed that memory of basically him having those techniques until like him like fighting Kenpachi all these times, going through a life-death situation when he remembered and then pretty much had his own evolution. So he would have put the arrow through the neck of White, and he would have backed up. Like White would have backed up, and like he would have gotten pretty mad, and Ichigo thought he was dying. So he put his guard down, which was a mistake, since White would then pretty much go and pretty much bite him, like infect him with like a hollow technique. So like White would kind of become his inner hollow. Well, not his inner hollow. He would merge with his Shinigami powers. So pretty much what would happen is Ichigo would start transforming into a hollow, or not a hollow, but like he's going to. So his hole will start to form into his chest and all. And pretty much Rukia would take him over to the 4th division, and pretty much we all know what's gonna happen. So Soifun and Byakuya, not Byakuya himself, but all the captains, like most of them at least, maybe 3 of them, like Soifun, Kaname, and Byakuya. If you guys are wondering why was Ichigo like off guard, it was because Kaname used his Bankai on Ichigo, so he didn't have his senses for a few seconds. Since his Bankai takes away your senses, except the feeling of touch. So yeah, after pretty much Ichigo would like be healed or try to, Soifun would see that he's pretty much turning into a hollow, and he would have she would have to eliminate him. Obviously Rukia would like be like, what the fuck you think? What do you think you're doing, ho? So pretty much what would happen is Rukia would, like Toshiro would pretty much grab Ichigo's body, like throw it over his shoulder, and then they would pretty much open a Senkaimon, and they would head over to the human world. Now, if you guys are wondering why would Toshiro do this, he's kind of like a more person who would follow the rules and all. But the thing is, out of all the people who, something that Ichigo did, only he can do. Even though Toshiro is not captain or anything, the one thing that Ichigo did that nobody did, he called him Hitsugaya Taicho, Captain Hitsugaya, and nobody has ever did that. They always called him short, or they ever called him Toshiro, or they would have just named him normally like Toshiro. I already said that though, or Hitsugaya. So Toshiro really had a massive respect for Ichigo. I'm just kidding. Well, basically Ichigo was his captain. He basically like basically, I guess in a sense, made a unsaid rule. Anytime you have to protect your captain, that's the rule. It's the same thing with One Piece. It's the same curriculum in a sense. So they would head over to the human world, and if you guys are wondering why the human world, just one person there that could fix this: Kisuke Urahara. Now, in this time, technically this time, Ichigo would then be saved by Urahara himself. So once they get in, Urahara immediately sensed him, and he would have sensed the same energy from Ichigo as he sensed from the Vizards. So he would have immediately put Ichigo onto a bed, I guess you can say, like an operating table. So then he would have got out the Hokyoku, and he would have realized that the Hokyoku did not actually cause the user's wishes to basically destroyed the boundary between Hollow and Shinigami, you realize it basically gave the users true what they desired the most, like their heart's desires. So Urahara would have desired that Ichigo would be saved, and his he would kind of become a Vizard at that point, but it would be completely different from the normal Vizards. Ichigo is like the Hollow would then merge with his Shinigami powers, so Zangetsu would be formed. So yeah, the Quincy the old man Zangetsu would be there, and then Tensa Zangetsu would be there if Ichigo were to go into his inner world and his Bankai state. So yeah, in his inner world, Ichigo would wake up and he would kind of be chained, similar to how it was in the Fullbring arc, a little bit like that. So Ichigo would then easily break out the chains. Like, this is his inner world, nobody's gonna do anything like that. So in the distance you would see that same Hollow but different. Like, he had a face, he had normal features like a Shinigami, and he even had a sword. He had his sword, but it was like bleached out completely. It had like white like bleached colors. It's kind of hard to explain the exact color. So then the Hollow would then stare down at Ichigo, and pretty much it would start their fight. So Ichigo would then kind of take his sword out, just instinctively. It would appear in his hands, and he would go and slice down, causing a Getsuga to form, and pretty much the Hollow would grab it. And like, Ichigo was really confused. How the fuck did this guy just grab his Getsuga? Like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? So then he would then like grab the Getsuga, absorb it back into himself, and Zangetsu would send it back at Ichigo. Ichigo would then use a Bakudo number 81 Danku, and pretty much Ichigo realized something. This is his inner world. He's the owner of this inner world. He's the king of this inner world. This Hollow isn't gonna defeat him. So he would then pretty much grab his blade, swing it by the bandages of the handle of his Shikai, and he would have just started swinging it and gaining momentum, and he would have swung down, and the Getsuga would start being sent at White, and this time White would try to absorb it, but this is Ichigo's inner world. So Ichigo would think to himself, "You're not allowed to absorb my Getsuga." So the Getsuga would then hit Zangetsu, and he would then appear behind White, grab him, but like put an arm through his chest, and then start to absorb him, so back into himself in a sense. And pretty much Ichigo would have completely destroyed White in a sense. Not in a sense, he did it. Okay, so after he would have absorbed White, he would have noticed something different. For some reason, he would want to like grab at his face. So he would have grabbed at his face, and a mask would start to form. And for some reason, he wasn't going out of control. He was still himself, and he can still like feel the a new boost of Ryatsu, a new boost of techniques going inside his memory, like Sero, Pesquisa, high speed regeneration, all those Hollow techniques. And he has a Hollow mask. So yeah, that's a good thing. So yeah, Ichigo would then wake up, and Urahara would kind of do a few tests on him before this would actually start. This would actually be the end of this what if. So Ichigo and Rukia and Toshiro would kind of live with the Vizards for like a few years before they would start to live on their own, and this would cause like their own journey into the human world, or living there in a sense. So yeah, without further ado, guys, next part we'll be going over stuff like them going to Karakura Town, them meeting like Uryu's dad, I can't remember his name, Ruken, and all the other stuff like that. And then Ichigo realizing that he's actually a Quincy, or he if you guys are wondering, didn't I already say this? I said that he had Quincy techniques, but he didn't know that they were Quincy techniques. He just knew they were techniques. So yeah, without further ado, guys, this will actually be the end of this what if. Like I already said, yeah, I'll summarize all the events. Ichigo became a captain, He did a mission with Soifon, and but he basically managed to see her fighting the Vastalorde he was supposed to eliminate. He eliminated said Vastalorde, or thought he did, or he didn't actually really do that, but you don't have to know that. And then he would then pretty much get infected by White after fighting him. slapping in multiple occasions, but the Zangetsu got pretty lucky, or future Zangetsu got lucky before he would infect Ichigo, completely merging with his Shinigami side. So after that, Rukia and Toshiro would save Ichigo from getting eliminated by the Gotai 13. Central 46 will list Rukia Kuchiki, Toshiro Itsugaya, and Ichigo Kuchiki Kurosaki as exiled from Soul Society if seeing execution, pretty much. And Aizen would finally have one less person suspicious of him. And yeah, that'll be the end. Have a good day, guys.